Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Reading over reality, am I right? You may think I've been a little bit quiet on the HRCYED front, but I've been working on it. I've been generally working away in the background, getting some reads down, and also continuing my planning, because one of the things I love most about reading challenges is the planning, the organisation, the gathering of books, and the excitement of knowing what adventures I'm going to be going on next. I've not been ticking off prompts. I've not finished any prompts yet, but I have finished a number of books towards a number of prompts. We should have videos landing in the next couple of months for subgenres, disability. What was the other one I was doing well on? I've actually done surprisingly well on the only prompt that has a time-specific window within which you must complete the prompt, and that's the 60-day challenge. So reading a book within 60 days either side of its release, and I've been doing that every month, so I've done really well on that, which is the only kind of failable prompt, as it were, because obviously you have to do every month in the year. When I first heard that prompt, I thought it was just one book, and I thought, oh, that's a nice easy one. I'm sure I can read a book within 60 days. No, it's 12 books, one for every month. Every month has had one so far, so that will be an end of the year video. Obviously you'll know what I've been reading from my wrap-up videos if you watch them. Oh, it's a bit warm up here in the attic today. As you can see, I have got my lovely new edition of A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. This edition is truly gorgeous. The picture on the front is not really in keeping with the tone of the book, but it's such a beautiful image, and it conveys the friendship. On the back, I'm not going to show it, but there's a much more kind of somber painting that fits more with the tone of the book. It's an absolutely beautiful 10th anniversary edition, so I've popped that on the shelf behind me. Next to that, we've got the Illumicrate version of Catabasis. I have far too many copies of Catabasis, and when I read it, I'll show you them. Some of them were pre-ordered, some of them were impulse buys on Vimeo. I can't explain why I have too many copies. I'm sure I'll be passing at least a couple of those on. So far with the prompts, the one I have gotten the furthest along with is subgenres. I'm not going to tell you the books because obviously that would be, well, I say a spoiler. I don't really do my videos have spoilers. I will be doing a full rundown, but I will tell you the genre I chose in the end, and I will tell you the subgenres that we have to look forward to. So I went mystery, absolutely love the mystery genre, and of all because I read all sorts of different books, of all the genres I read, this is the one I do for fun. If there's nothing to kind of unwrap in the book, then yeah, I do tend to, unless it's a very good book, I can sometimes lose interest. So mystery is the book I read for fun. It's the kind of books that I read for pure enjoyment. So that's what I went for this one, and also it's one that's got lots and lots and lots of subgenres. The subgenres I've gone for are historical mystery, a lot of those out there, sci-fi mystery. Initially I wasn't sure whether this was a subgenre, but it absolutely is. It's definitely a thing. I asked in the HRCYED Discord group, I said, is sci-fi mystery a subgenre? And then I started reeling off all the different ones I could think of, and it turns out that yes, it certainly is. Thriller, cozy, hard-boiled, and golden age classic mystery. So those are the 6 I've gone for. I've read 4.5 and I've gotten to another half book, and then finally finish off a hard-boiled, which is not usually my thing, so that'll be interesting. One of the good things about HRCYED, spreading your reading wings and getting reading things you wouldn't normally. So I tend towards the more kind of atmospheric, genre blending, golden age type mysteries, often with a bit of cozy thrown in. So yeah, let's have some hard-boiled gritty noir in there for good balance. The disability prompts I would be getting along further with if I want the representation to be appropriate for this prompt, because it's such an important prompt, and any book that representation is a little bit dodgy, I've kind of discounted a little bit. Obviously, if a book's representation is so bad that it ruins the that it ruins the story, it's not one I'm going to be reading. But if it's kind of, I want to really do this prompt justice, because disability rights and representation is so important, and I want to have a good rounded view of disability. I don't want it just to be, because obviously you can use non-fiction, for example a memoir. That's perfectly legitimate, but I don't want to just do 5 memoirs, because obviously in fiction we need the representation too. And once you start looking for it, there is good representation out there. So yeah, I'll be doing a video on that, and I'll probably extend that video into books that I read in the past that I think would be good for this prompt. Just generally books that have disabled protagonists that you know, give you something to think about, and also manage to like be a complete character within the plot without it necessarily being about their disability. So obviously disabled people need they need to be represented in all genres, so romance, mystery, all of them, rather than, you know, and that's something that, you know, is out there and that we're seeing more of, which is splendid. There is still a lot of iffy representation, unfortunately. There is still a lot of problematic stuff, but generally people are learning, and I think, you know, we're getting better representation overall. My quote is not going well. I have nothing for the quote. I have ideas for the quote, and I still have my quote, but yeah, that one's not going down. My rainbow we've already sorted, and I'm reading my way through that very slowly. Continents I've found easier as well, because I wanted each book to give a flavour. So if I wouldn't just pick something for that continent where the author's from there or the characters are set there, I wanted to say something about the experience of being in, living in, or being from that particular continent. For Europe, I've chose Good Girl by Aria Arber. This book is about being an immigrant to Berlin, and the experience and how all of that intersects, and that is explored, and it's very much set in that place. And you know, there is a strong sense of place in the novel, so it could only have taken place there really for it to make sense as a book. And for Asia, I've chosen Murder in the House of Amari by Takuya Shibe. This book is set in 1940s Japan and is by a Japanese author. It's translated from the Japanese, although it's a modern author writing a historical mystery, as it were. It gives a Japanese perspective on, you know, that period of time, which was incredibly interesting to read from that viewpoint. So I've got another 4 continents to go, and I intend to choose books that have a strong sense of place and that tell you something about the place. And obviously, you know, that can be anything, because these continents are enormous and they have different countries and different experiences within them. So it's very interesting from that perspective. Translation, that's going to be one that I'm underway with. I do read a lot of translated fiction, things on the Booker International list this year. I've still got a few of those to read. And I read a lot of Japanese fiction, although it's got to be 5 different languages. So I was going to use Solenoid for that, but it is on hiatus at the moment because I just can't. I just can't with Solenoid right now. It's too much. I've solidified a few of the heritage months. So for Arab Heritage Month, I would like to read Between Two Moons by Aisha Abdul Gawad. The reason I've chosen this one, it's I believe a fictional, it's a novel, and uses the term Arab in the actual blurb. So there's obviously that heritage within there, and the story does explore that. So that's the one I'm going to use for that. For Indigenous Heritage Month, I'm going to use Moon Under Crusted Snow by Wobgishik Rice, who did a very interesting video on his channel talking about kind of the culture and language that he used and that he's put into that book. He's from an Indigenous Canadian background, and I'm very interested to read that one, and by all means check out his channel. For Jewish Heritage Month, I'm going to use Her First American by Laura Segal. The book itself explores, hello, Future Ray here. I have described this book completely incorrectly. So Her First American is about a Jewish refugee to America who then has a romance with a Black American intellectual. And I think I was getting it mixed up with a different book, which was about the Black Jewish experience in America. So yeah, this is a literary romance, and I've got a copy, and I will be using it for this prompt. Yeah, I bought that when I was down at my friend's bookshop down in Tunbridge Wells. Shout out to Station Books. For Hispanic Heritage Month, I found this one quite difficult because my understanding was that Hispanic was an outdated term, and that so I did do a bit of Googling, and apparently so the difference between Hispanic and Latina is that Latina is kind of geographical, whereas Hispanic is they share a language base with the Spanish language. So for this one I've used Mean by Miriam Gerber. She talks a lot about her Mexican background, well, she's Mexican Polish American, and she talks a lot about her background within the novel. It's all very relevant. It's a very, very interesting read. So I'm going to be hopefully promoting that one. I do my Heritage Month video. I already read that one, and it was very, very subversive, a very interesting read. For a couple of them, I'd like to do non-fiction. So for LGBTQ plus pride, I'm probably going to read something like A Short History of Queer Women. For disability pride, being Hoyman, which is Judith Hoyman's autobiography. I've got that on my Kindle. She was an activist for disability rights, so that'll be an interesting read, and it's not one that I'm reading for the disability representation, so it's good to to have extra reads on there. I've bought a book recently on blackness in art history. So that I might use that one for Black History Month. Hopefully that will arrive soon. Women's history. I'd like to read something from women who are more marginalised, preferably, just to expand my understanding of feminism. I was thinking about maybe something like Hood Feminism by Mickey Kendall, and because there are a lot of books about how feminism hasn't been inclusive and hasn't always driven forward the agenda for all women. So I'm going to pick something like that, hopefully, just to expand my own horizons, and which leaves us with Asian American Pacific Islander heritage that I think I did have to get back to you on that one. I did have an idea. I'm pretty sure someone gave me an idea for that one. Last 10 years, the thing is, like, with the last 10 years and the amount of pages, I'm still kind of just slotting those in where I can, and it'll probably get harder as it knocks them all down. I'm reading The Will of the Many. That can be my 600 to 699, for example. I've already read a little bit like that. I've already read a little book, so maybe we can get that one in there. I mean, it's a little bit wishy-washy with those. It's nice to have a few prompts that you can be a bit more vague with, because I do tend to mood read, and I've got a lot of books around here, so if I'm mood reading something, I don't want to feel like it's not going towards HRCYED, so it's nice to have a couple of vague prompts in there. I'm a little bit nervous about, I thought I'd do the 24-hour reading challenge quite soon, but I'm a little bit nervous about it because I don't have great sleep patterns as it is, and it's intimidating, the thought of having to concentrate for that long. I'm not sure I've got it in me. I mean, I could force myself to stay up here and set a timer, but I'm rubbish at that sort of thing, and I'm not a fast reader, so I'm worried I'll get to the end and I'll have read like 30 pages in a day and spent the rest of my time, And also for that one, the books that I choose, I can't double, I can have one more prompt for them, so I need to pick things that aren't necessarily going to fit, and hopefully some short ones so it looks like I've got further into them. On my recent reading retreat, I did pretty much reading like the whole time, a bit of reading, bit of chatting, bit of eating cheese boards, that kind of thing. And yeah, I did find I didn't read as much. I felt like I read loads, And then I get back and I realise I haven't actually finished anything. So, you know, it's a work in progress. You can't, like, different people have different reading speeds. If I read any faster, I wouldn't take the words in properly because my brain just doesn't do it like that. So I have to read at a pace where I feel like I'm taking it in, absorbing it, and getting something out of it. And everybody's different. Some people can do that lightning fast. Other people, you know, slow pace like me. If it looks like I read a lot of books in a year, it's because I spend a lot of time doing it. It's not because I'm fast. Haven't started on my creatures yet, although, like I say, I've got a better idea of what I'm going to go for. Fae folk, I'm going to read Cursebound's on there somewhere, which is a sequel. Definitely has Fae folk in there. For spirit, I might go Woman in Black. I was going to use The Hotel by Daisy Johnson because there is kind of ghosts in that book, but it's all a bit wishy-washy. It's not, I mean, it didn't feel right. And I know this is probably just me being like, must do properly, but it just didn't feel right for the prompt. Merfolk, I'm going to go with The Sirens by Amelia Hart. Once Was Willem is my zombie pick. Definite zombie vibes. Magic user. I was thinking of using The Will of the Many, but is the will that people use to do magic, does that count as magic using? If you've read the book, please let me know whether you think that would count for magic user, because again, my obsessive need to get things correct is probably holding me back a little bit here. Probably completed half of these and didn't even realise it. Other, I mean, Fourth Wing has dragons. Ah! Vampire, probably go for something like The Book Eaters. That was given as an example and it's been on my TBR forever. Although there is a kind of Is Byron a Vampire book behind me by Essie Fox. That sounds quite interesting as well. I have got 2 out of 5 of my animals down. Do I tell you what they are? I mean, if you've seen my wrap-up videos, you'll kind of know what they are already, probably. I've done house pets, I've done wild animals, so I need exotic pets, farm animals, and zoo animals. Now, this is difficult because I've got a fantasy book about, I think there's a magical zoo with phoenixes and stuff like that. Does that count as zoo animals? I think it's supposed to be animals that are in zoos in your particular geographical area. So in the UK, do we have phoenixes? Phoenices? Do we have any phoenices? I don't think they exist. So, sorry kids. So we don't have, yeah, we don't have that, so I probably wouldn't be able to use that. Farm animals, I was going to use Animal Farm, but yeah. Exotic pets, I have so many books with snakes on them, but I don't know if these snakes are aesthetic choices or if the snakes are in the books. Legitimate snake or decoration? Legitimate snake or decoration? Legitimate snake or decoration? I really don't like snakes! Ah! I don't know why I have so many snake books as someone who doesn't like anything. I think Bristol Keats has a snake on the front. This one has an elephant on the front. That could count as like a zoo animal, as it were. Does it have a named elephant in the book though? Or is it just on the cover? I don't know. It's really hard. There are lots of books that have animals on the front, but it's difficult to know whether they've actually featured them in the stories. And I would ideally go for a book that has the character named. The two books I've done already for pets and wild animals, there are named animal characters in the books. No, that's fruit. I thought that one might have I thought that might have an animal in, but it seems to be fruit. Also, I have an enormous stack of books just over there, Christmas mysteries, because, as always, I want to do a Christmas mystery video. Are any of those going to fit with HRCYED? I have no idea. There are vague plans. The plans are sort of in action. Let me know if you see any animals around me that may go in that category, because the other two I found by mistake, which is a nice coincidence. And I thought, oh, this will go great. What else have we got to do? Non-fiction. See, my problem is a lot of my non-fiction overlaps. So it's got to be 5 different kinds of non-fiction books. So I've got a ton of memoirs, I've got a lot of books about healthcare, I've got a lot of books about inequality, I've got a lot of books about feminism, I've got a lot of books about art. So, I mean, okay, there's 4 different topics right there, but a lot of them kind of overlap. So art and feminism, or inequality and healthcare, I've got kind of books across the board, and I read a lot of memoirs as well. Well, when I say memoirs, kind of essay collections, memoirs, that kind of thing, or memoirs that have a bit of a manifesto in them. I'm trying to be true to the prompt. I suppose I read Genderqueer by Maya Kababe, which is it's a comic memoir, so that's a different format of non-fiction and would be definitely in keeping with the essence of the prompt. Also, it would work for non-binary identities, for the Queer for Bet. I don't know why I've not got that far on that one. I feel like last year's reading I would have done the Queer for Bet a couple of times over. Yeah, I've got loads of books with trans protagonists and stuff. So yeah, let's get going with those. In the same way, for 10 different authors from 10 different backgrounds, BIPOC authors, I've got a couple of those that I've already mentioned to you on the list, but I want to get a good range of experiences there in keeping with the essence of the prompt, which is to read about experiences different from your own and to promote more marginalised authors. And yeah, let's all talk about their books and expand our circle of empathy. And yeah, so the books you read, the books you talk about, the more different experiences you have, the more you'll be able to spread that experience and empathy amongst the people that you talk to in life. Q recommendations, the one I'm going to read first for that is A Gentleman's Gentleman, and I'll have to give that one a read. For a gender fluid identity, so Dragonfall, which I read just before the challenge started, Ember Claw is the sequel. The main character Arcady, they are gender fluid and use any pronouns, and that's how the author describes them, so definitely one there. I keep changing my mind about readathon and gamify reading. I did have a great idea for gamify reading, and that was because I've been doing on Litzy, which is, again, it's a social media platform, I've been doing her Bookspin Bingo challenge for many years, and I've never got a bingo because I'm so bad at sticking to a plan. So I was hoping to get a bingo and that be the thing, but it doesn't follow the rule technically because it has to be a game that you've not played before. Hopefully someone on Litzy will come up with a new game for that, because I don't do a lot of social media and I'm trying to like strip back the amount of social media that I do in my life, because it does have a tendency to take over. My quote staring accusing at me. I've got this beautiful notebook that I've got it all in, and the paper is just so tactile. But yeah, I've got my quote there, which I haven't done any of. Well done, Ray. Books up for awards. I'm reading the Booker list, so Universality is on there. I'm currently reading Flesh by David Shalhoub. Will that be the winner? I've ordered the rest of them, so one of them's got to win. I don't want to just do Booker. There's the Ursula Le Guin Prize, which my friend Ross from Hardy's Books is reading at the moment. Check out by all means, check out their channel over at Hardy's Books if you want to see his reviews. I'm reading Sea Scraper on audio, although I'm not really feeling it, I've got to be honest. I'm reading it just before bed and I'm having to keep rewinding because I keep nodding off, which could be because I'm tired, or it could be because not that much is happening. Everybody, it's got more than 4 stars average rating on Goodreads. Everybody says how great it is, so really do not listen to my opinion on that. If you like quiet, descriptive, reflective books, people were very, very disappointed this didn't make the shortlist, so do not listen to me. For my own personal challenge, it's going to be one of 2 things. It's either going to be top secret project can't tell anyone about, because if I tell people about it I won't do it, or it's going to be read loads of books set in hotels, because that is a personal challenge I've set for myself. It's not so much a challenge so much as something that I like. I love books set in hotels. We've had this conversation, I'm sure. And I've got a huge stack of them. The Pink Hotel, Strange Hotel, Invisible Hotel, Sundown Motel, Dream Hotel, Floating Hotel, The Listeners, Hotel Lucky 7, Bertram's Hotel, Grand Babylon Hotel, loads of hotel books. So maybe to read 5 of those. That'll be a pretty decent personal challenge. If I don't manage top secret project that can't tell anyone about. I'm gonna stick to hotels. I was thinking about setting my own little reading challenge for next year, just a very basic one for other people to do. If that's something you'd like, please let me know in the comments. It would just be, you know, a little task for each season. And if you're doing HRCYED, you could obviously do that as a readathon, because it would be something that I would be announcing public for people to do. But yeah, I mean, even if no one does it, it's still a good, I enjoy making that sort of thing up. Is that another snake? It's a very snaky shelf over there. Just in case you didn't see this before, this is my elements stack. Water, Moon, Atmosphere, King of Ashes, Stoneyard Devotional. I still think this is a great elements stack, and it's only because I haven't managed to get round to it because I've been so busy with the other prompts that I haven't got started on that yet. I will catch you all soon for another video. I've got something really special planned for my 100th video, which will be in, well, this is going to be my 98th, I think. So you've got that to look forward to if you stick around and subscribe. Anyway, thank you for listening today. It's been a pleasure. Mwah, lots of love. This one has a scorpion on the front. Is the scorpion a character? I kind of feel like to put a scorpion on the front and then there not to be a scorpion in the story would be a little bit rude. So does the scorpion figure, is this our exotic pet right here, guys? Let me know.